Let's do another flip through. Hi, this is Todd from Todd Young Online. This is a nice little spiral bound and one of the only like really working notebooks I have. I've got school projects, so this is around 2010 ish. That's when I graduated with my associates in fine arts. But projects for school are in here, more stylization of the figure and other little design elements I've been working out. Other, excuse me, other, um, just the projects I've been working on and trying to get through my head. I started being a little bit more diligent in writing things down, especially when it was just like the seed of an idea for me that usually turns from some kind of snarky comment or a title or something, and I get it down real quick. I'm like, oh, and then it blossoms into something else. Um, More naked figures, of course. Still working on the clothing, but you can notice that I am trying to put some clothes on these things sometimes. Working from reference, I started working from reference a lot more. Um, Sometimes you gotta lean into what you're doing. Oh, here's a project, an animation project I did. It's out there. Rhapsody in Blue, more journaling, um, more experimentation, using really sharpies and ballpoints and ink. And I really, one of the things that I enjoy working with ink or a pen or a marker is the permanence of it. So you have to be a little bit more intentional with the lines you make. Give it a little bit more thought before you start. And for me, at least, I find that I draw a little bit differently when I do that. Excuse me. I had been doing some volunteer work, so there are those projects in here that I've been working on. Um, some silly character work, some writing ideas. Time of my life, I'd gotten stuck on a help desk, so this is the saga of Help Desk Ned. Ask him your question, and then you're dead. This is also a really good example of me, breaking the page down, um, and then just, when the page is too big, make something smaller, and then just put something in it. And one of my favorite things about doing this is eh, putting anything in the panel or in the box, essentially, and letting somebody else create the story, going from box to box, so or panel to panel, or whatever you want to call them. It's just it reminds me of when I studied filmmaking for a little while, or so, at least had a class in filmmaking, and in the very beginning of it, the juxtaposition of images and people coming to their own conclusion about those two images, and filling in the work. And I really enjoy one of the things I really enjoy about work. I did a magazine layout for one of my classes in school. I went to Full Sail University Online. Remind me to talk about online versus ground education sometime. I have many thoughts, but anyway, um, going back to trying to create one of the fun, challenging things to do with art, and is to create something that you can have an individual experience, but at the same time have a group experience looking at it. Um, so that's always been something I've tried to do. One of my classes, we did an intro. I think it's out there to the Owl and the Pussycats. Um, Me paneling it out, doing storyboards, trying to come up with like a 10-second stinger. I did not do the best, but it's out there. I had a good time doing it, and would like to, and plan to do more at some point. Do more animation, do more storytelling, and I'm working towards that now. Just started doing these uh, creating shapes like jigsaws, and you create one shape and then fit another shape into it and keep going and going and going and going until you fill up the page. That turned into another project and another little element to help put things into and up against. And the same with typography. Creating letter forms was fun. These things kind of became like my IDK project. I'll talk about that at some point. The I Don't Know project. They're creating kind of a logo for it. It's kind of funny because I really like non-figurative art. I like non-representational things, that creating a good composition and then letting somebody read into it. So I really dislike some of the pretension of naming things. People that put those long, silly names on their, in my opinion, long, silly names kind of take away from your artwork. I prefer simple, kind of descriptive things, and then let you personalize it. But by that same token, I kind of came around and started, while not naming individual pieces, I started branding things. So like the IDK project and Judgment Day and other projects, 24 by 36, that help me focus on what I'm doing, because I like to create more than one thing. I like to create kind of a coherent thought package. One is interesting, but if you create five or more, and when I was in Afghanistan doing 30, trying to do a thing a day, um, it really helps make it more of a coherent thought, and especially if you brand it. For me, anyway, it helps me um, keep focus on what I'm doing. I had some projects where they kind of meandered a bit, but once I started branding them a little bit better, then I was like, oh, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm focusing on. Working on just figuring out the figure. The Some of the stuff I've watched and looked at, I forget who said it, but like your style is everything you do wrong. Maybe it was Eric Larson from Savage Dragon. Maybe he said that. I will give him credit for that. But it just, sorry, I'm saying a lot, but trying to go back. I mean, this has still got a lot of projects in it that I haven't completed yet, so I'm kind of flipping through with you. Um, but I got a lot more. Okay, I'm sorry, I kind of got lost looking at this. Um, Trying to do more illustrations, trying to play with line, and one thing that I've come across um, more recently, the intention of your lines, and when you look at especially like a comic book page, or something, and you notice like the line is uh, the way the inked lines are or the drawn lines are, those are intentional, which to me I was like, oh, it's kind of a duh, but yeah, it's like, if the line is like, looks like it was drawn three times, or has a certain character to it, or shape to it, it's because they did that intentionally, and it they went back over it to do that. Um, Here's one design idea that I worked out, kind of a stylized snake coming out of a tree. I don't remember why I did that or who gave me that thought. Um, we were playing D&D for a while, and I had a somebody asked me to draw a couple of his characters, and that was one of them. Um, I had this idea, and tried to see how far I could take it. The figure idea, drawing like uh, a simple a dynamic line or shape, and then trying to create around it, see what comes of it. Some perspective work, some figure work from life, some more character work. I kind of was onto something with the figures. I think that's kind of where I end up going back to. These kind of stained glass pieces, working on creating interesting lines and then breaking them down, and then creating an interesting color palette, working very kind of minimal and deliberate. I kind of like how these came out. I'm kind of impressed. I think I redid some of these on in other things too. Um, yeah, trying to be effective with my composition, trying to be effective with my line work, and typography again. Trying to use line and black and white. Again, more typography here towards the end. Playing with letter forms, and what if we all had acorns for heads? There you go. There's your philosophy for the day. Nice, kind of short one, but thank you for your time. I really do appreciate the feedback and having you guys watch these, and I hope you enjoy them. I will talk to you soon. Take care.